let's do a moment for our sponsors, but let's lean in with our heads touching almost.
Our heads are going to touch?
Yes.
Why are you making this more difficult for me? Like that?
Yeah. Without
How
knocking.
I'm going to totally bust your noggin.
Okay, let's do it slowly. Now, a moment for our sponsors.
Wait, oh. Like, are you saying it and we're like, what? Do you say it and then we go in? Do you say it as we go in?
Let's do the staring contest.
Does M count us in?
Staring contest. Have you done this before? Where you stare at each other's
and
eyes?
And then what?
And whoever breaks first is the one that loses.
And then what?
That's it. Go.
Loses what?
Loses.
Let's sign up for steaks. Let's do this.
I don't eat steak.
We eat veggie steaks now that there's Beyond Beef. Do they make steaks?
No.
So far, we just have hamburgers.
No one's made a slab of vegetarian
steak. Because they just can't get the texture right of it.
All right, let's just welcome people into our world and tell them about our show.
Welcome into our world.
Oh, wow. You did that like that Saturday Night Live bit. It's like, hey, everything's really nice. And
welcome to our world. We're going to tell you about our show.
Wow.
No? Okay, ready? Ready? Now a word.
Now a word from our sponsor. That's an uncomfortable pause. I think we made people uncomfortable that are watching it. So, all 5 of our followers, we are so sorry.
We have 5? I thought we had 2.
We actually have 3.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? We're balling out of control. Hey! We have to talk about our the name of this podcast, and we do thank you very much. My name is Leonard Jones.
I'm Tukwila Jones.
And welcome to...
Borderline racist. What? Am I waiting for you?
No, I just wanted you to... You didn't seem like you wanted more from... It's like you wanted to duplicate what we did the first time.
What?
I felt like you wanted to duplicate what we did the first time.
I felt like you wanted to say it at the same time, and then I started to say it, but you just took a breath.
Welcome to our show. Borderline racist marriage.
Would you have wanted that piece
If
down?
I got flyaways, yeah, might as well touch my hair, man.
I got you.
Great. So we have our 3rd episode of Borderline Racist Marriage. We are so excited about talking about racism and prejudice and slavery and things that are ostentatious and atrocities and hatred.
What? Are we excited?
No.
No.
But we decided to do that. We decided.
Well, no, we decided to just talk like we usually do and then to start filming ourselves. That's what we really decided to do. It's that simple. And we haven't even talked about the topic that we were going to talk about, but I wanted to open up with, oh gosh, now see, it's escaping me. It was a friend, it was an article that I saw that a friend posted online. Are we ready to dive in?
I was just waiting for you to finish and get your sentences fleshed out.
I think I have.
That's all I was waiting for.
I think I have scrambled egg on my skirt from breakfast. Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, so I think that's a point you're trying to make, and I will segue off of that point.
No, we don't need to segue anywhere. Do you want me to talk about what it was that...
Yeah.
Okay, so there was an article. It's coming back to me now.
Okay.
I know sometimes it takes a little while for my brain to start up. Last week it took like an hour.
Yep. Yes, it did.
So maybe we need to talk for an hour and then hit play. I mean record.
Maybe so. Maybe we need to talk for an hour and then hit play or record.
I'm not kidding. Okay. That could be that.
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
All right. So there's an article out there, and I didn't even read it. I just read the gist of it and a couple of comments. So, but I'd still like to discuss it.
You're talking about an article or your interaction with this kind of thing that was going on on Facebook?
We could talk about both. I mean, it's both prevalent.
Well, then I don't know anything about it, so
well,
I would
one
love
of
to
them
identify.
one of them is about an article and talking about the terminology that is now used and I don't even I think they're clumping it all together into one, so they're not just talking about anti-racist terminology, but it's like it's like all of the anything that's like ableist, racist, sexist, like you name the, right, there's like an ism thing, and there's isms, right? I think ism is probably even one of those words, those terminologies that's like in this new vernacular. There's like a new vernacular, right? That's out there.
Well, there's definitely. Well, I keep calling them buzzwords because I feel like they feel so media driven that's what it feels like.
This article was about them being elite and costing money, and people charging money to teach them, and for them being like, I don't know, unattainable, or like, you know, for the mass. I don't. It seems to be. And again, admittedly, I didn't even read the dang article, but. It was not written by a white person. I do know that much. Because what I did do is I like looked at the name of the author who wrote it and then went and did that and then got distracted by children and wanted to go back to the article.
So do you think that it is talking about how people are making money off of these buzzwords? Like these isms?
Yes, and making money off of classes and...
Like teaching classes about how to combat or deal with this subject matter.
Right. Well, and I'm wondering, again, I haven't read the article, but I'm wondering about, like, maybe they're even talking about tying it into the for-profit college, you know.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if they are, like, teaching classes in college and this or that or whatever on it now.
So what is this comparative to? Is it like when... So you know a few people, and you've been doing some research on people that are...
DEI specialists.
DEI, which
is... Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Specialty.
Okay, so is this piggybacking the concept? Like, it's like, I'm going to teach you guys about...
Good question. I didn't read the article, but I thought we'd have the discussion anyways.
That's fair.
I feel like it's fair.
So let me think about a buzzword that is...
Because we know a lot of buzzwords. Not all of them.
So here's what's... Well, branding is interesting, right? That's what... We have a president that brands everything. Poorly if you are on my side of the court.
Or mine.
And very wonderful on your side of the court, which I don't understand it, but I want to understand you if you really beloved his branding. But I'm going to compare this to like when people say someone's a socialist or when someone's a communist in politics. And the only reason why I want to bring that up is because the whole Kamala Harris thing where there's...
Okay, so we're diving in.
The reason why I bring it up is because people are using these words to kind of spin.
Well, people are using these words because here's the thing. First of all, there are no other words to describe what racism looks like today, which is why I think so many new words are coming about, is because people are creating new words over the last, 10-ish years or so. There are new words.
Obama was in office.
There are new words that are starting to morph and to change and to come to fruition that need to come to fruition now because, well, frankly, the racism has shifted and morphed and changed into different systems and ways to oppress and disenfranchise, discriminate against groups of people who have always been.
Yeah, can I jump on there?
Right.
You have something you're going to say? Because I won't interrupt you. Disenfranchise is a word I've heard in my adult life.
I feel like it's such an economic.
What?
Disenfranchise it's a franchise. Like, isn't a franchise something where you like buy the franchise and then you replicate it?
Right. A franchise is something that
business.
is so disenfranchise must be what is the definition? We'll ask our social producer.
Disenfranchise.
But what I just want to talk. So I've for the past 20 plus years I've heard disenfranchise. I've been listening to the Honorable Elijah Mohammed, Brother Rizza from the Nation of Islam, and I've been listening to Dr. Cornel West. And to some people, that's going to be very off-putting that I've been listening to these left, I don't know what you're going to call them, but these are some powerful individuals in our society right now, males that are actually been around for a while, talking about the disenfranchisement, talking about what's really, truly happening. What has happened so much and so bad for so long that we are sitting in this kind of, in the mud. We don't have any clear picture of racism as we defined it 60 years ago, 70 years ago, and beyond.
Right.
We don't have a clear picture of what racism was. Racism, if I'm correct, really only gained its traction in the last 100 years. Like, it only became an actual conversation because we had slavery and then we had racism.
Jim Crow.
Well,
they're right.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if I'm muddying that up, but
Jim
my
Crow
point
was
is
systemic racism.
Systemic racism. So that's why people
Chattel slavery was...
What slavery?
Chattel
slavery,
yeah.
So I think that's why people are kind of caught on their heels as they try to utilize ways to talk about it without having accountability over what possibly is occurring for them.
Without taking accountability for what is occurring for them.
Let me just say, so if I'm a white person, I want to talk about the racism or I'm a white person and I want to talk about the racism that's happening, but I don't want to use the word racism.
You want to remove from yourself.
I want to remove from myself. I want to disenfranchise myself from being a part of the franchise that is condemned or slaughtered.
That's words.
Huh?
Yeah, it's an interesting way to
So
use
I want to separate myself from that because I don't want to be accountable for that part. Because that part we got rid of. We all work together for civil rights. And this is me still being a white person. We all work together for civil rights. And so now I want to talk about it like this. Favorite. It's my favorite.
Pretending to be a white person is sometimes my favorite.
Wait, you pretending?
No, you pretending to be a white person. Wait. I don't pretend to be a white person.
Do I pretend to be a white person?
You do sometimes, and it's my favorite. Not very often.
No, it's true. I do.
Not very. Well, you've got a lot of characters.
I love musical theater.
You have a background in theater. You have a background in comedy.
Oh,
so you have a background in improv. So he has characters.
I have characters, but I do want to say that in my time in musical theater, in my grade school, into high school, into professional life, I played a servant 7 times. Every single musical that I can think of, Hello Dolly, No No Nanette, Guys and Dolls, which is not a servant, but I was playing like a, which is a great show, but I was playing a gangster. But I was
7 times over how many years?
Over, 15, 20 years.
Okay, over 15 or 20 years. And then up against, so servant 7 times, and then other roles. What were other roles that you played?
I will try not to get emotional about this, but all of the roles that I received where I played what's the word, reputable, like a character or a lead, were predominantly given to me by ethnic directors and writers. So whenever there was a creative director over the whole theater, or there was a director that was ethnic, a person of any color, I played a role that was reputable. I have 2 very strong mentors in the theatrical arts of mine, and one of them is of color, Ruben Van Kempen, and you know of him, and I love him so much I'll say his name. And then Steve Tompkins is another person, and Rob Hunt, to be honest with you. But those people all knew me from my core, I believe, like who I am as an individual, and then they also knew what was going on and anything that was going on with their programs. And this is in the
90s.
This was in the, so in the 90s. In the 80s, I played all ethnic characters because I was young, and I played it at, like, the Langston Hughes Culture Arts Center, which is the Langston Hughes Culture Arts Center. It is a black writers' cultural arts center, so it was all cultural based. I didn't remember even seeing any
And what kinds of productions?
The Wiz, Kid Theodore and His Amazing Magic Feet, so it was like I played the lead character of, my grandfather was a former dancer and jazz, what do you call it when you're like, you abundantly love it? So, connoisseur.
Your character's grandfather was that?
My grandfather was that, and I was a young guy, but I was like going into the street, and he was trying to pull me back into really understanding that the street's not the place to go. So it was a very cool show where I was battling being a part of the street, but I also was but I was fighting the fact that I didn't want to be, in this particular sense, it's kind of actually works well because there's the old time, there's my mother's version of history and truth that happened for her. There's my grandmother's version, which is even harder and worse. And then there's my version, and we're literally the same blood, and we're in the same time frame by which we are actually living in the same time frame, where I'm looking into their eyes, or my father's eyes, and my grandfather's eyes, and knowing what they've gone through, and then looking at what I'm going through as better or worse. Some of them at moments looking at my life as like, this is way better, that's what we fought for. And then I'm going, what you had was way better because there was a lot of unity. I remember when Unity and Queen Latifah did that song UNITY, right?
I loved that, yeah.
In the 90s, that I
you know
felt,
what we're talking about?
Yeah, I felt there was I felt that
everybody's listening to that again.
They listen to it again, but I felt like my people, my family, spoke of a unity that existed, and I used to actually hate that I wasn't experiencing that. I'm disenfranchised from my family off of some American shit. Like the fact that we all have jobs and we're all doing well and we're not together. My dad is the oldest of 12. I know none of those men. There's, like 2 or 3 of them are
closely.
Closely. I mean, I knew them in my youth, but I didn't know them so disenfranchisement.
Huge family function or event.
Disenfranchisement meant to me that you get put out of the way things go, and you're left out. You don't get to have the loans. You don't get to go to the same schools. You don't get to have the same interactions in society. And at the same time, nobody's helping that happen. And then the trickle down part of it is you get detached from your own cultural awareness.
Okay.
It's almost like it muddied the waters. I remember hearing this disenfranchisement as that kind of mode of communicating what is happening to us as a people. Mm-hmm. So the weird part for me is that word feels racist, if I want to be real frank and clear about how it feels inside my heart. It feels like a stamp it feels like a branding. If you are disenfranchised, it seems like if America says you're disenfranchised, there's no coming back from that.
Are there other words that
triggered that?
That trigger that, yeah. Other of the new words, right? Well, because that's like that word. It has been around, but it hasn't always been applied to racism.
So this is the interesting part about what you did not actually fully engage. I'm really curious about this article.
Like the word intersection. The word intersection.
Oh, that's a perfect one, and I hate that one right now. I hate that because I don't understand what it's really meaning.
Oh.
It's one of those words. My degrees are in communications, and intersection means you did last episode. It intersects.
It intersects.
So who cares if it intersects? For me, my articulate, analytical brain says, why is it intersect? Who cares if it intersects? How do we grab onto whatever it's intersecting and then correct it? Because it seems like it's going the wrong direction twice. It seems like it's
Angela Davis might suggest that you take the person who has the most intersections with other people who are being oppressed or who are being the other D word that's
disenfranchised.
Not disenfranchised, but yes, that too. But also, dang it, it's another word that starts with a D. Okay, it's escaping.
Disc.
No. Yeah.
Doodle-don.
Okay.
Damaged.
Okay, it'll come to me, and I already said it just a few moments ago.
I don't even know if we can do that on YouTube. I don't know if I can say that word.
Did we say?
No, we didn't say that word. We don't think we can say those things. There's a couple of words, some FCC words we can't say.
Oh, really?
We can get canceled.
Or you could just bleep it out.
Dumped on.
Okay.
First of all, I love that you are talking about Angela Davis right now. Holy woke.
Okay, well, I forgot my thought after all of your...
wokeness. Angela Davis. Because here's what's interesting. On the streets of civil unrest, where Antifa / black people are leading white people into the fray. That's not Antifa, by the way. I'm just trying to identify that. When a person of non-color starts to preach something like Angela Davis, technically, they should be stopped in some sets, in some groups, in some areas. What you just said was so wonderful. But it insults so many because Angela Davis is more than left. Angela Davis was part of the Black Panthers, for real. Angela Davis is a Marxist, was called a Mark. I mean, she was arrested. She was everything you can think of that they hate the most.
Right, we were talking about intersection.
And you were saying about if you look at the body of Angela Davis's work, she talks about if there's someone beat down, drugged through the mud, culturally, racially, in anywhere, that's the individual we have to pay attention to do the fixing.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
The fixing has to happen with
Good.
The person with the most, with the group with the most troubled waters.
Right.
Especially if we are to...
You have to lift up the person who is struggling the most.
To my Republican brothers and sisters, that doesn't mean that you need to give them a handout. What you need to do is you need to lift that up so that you can talk about it intellectually. You look unintellectual when you do not address the fact that some group is being pushed down or has been pushed down, broken and struck and disenfranchised.
Well, really, it's just to see your own self as an equal to the lowest of, it's not even the lowest of the low, but to see yourself as equal with everybody. When it comes to here's the new thing, right? When it comes to our governing systems and our laws. So that's where we come about this whole, I don't believe systemic racism was a word until the last, decade-ish or so or something like that, right? I could be wrong. I might have just learned about it 10 years ago, and maybe it was like 25, 35, 50 years ago. I don't know. How long will you look that up, that date?
Systemic racism?
The year that systemic racism... what year was systemic racism a terminology, used as a common term and a common word?
And then we'll take both of those things that we just asked, and we'll...
But it's honoring, it's honoring the person who is got the most intersected, who is oppressed the most by the systems. And
I think that people are troubled by
looking at the systems so that
I feel like systems is cloudy. It's like I feel like there's 3 tiers to this existence on this planet. There's this physical one where everyone's like, I go to work and I do this and I pay my bills and I don't hurt anybody and I don't cuss anybody out and I don't hate them.
Individualistic. Are we going to start getting into
No. I'm just saying they physically just do their thing and I don't think that they're actually causing an effect that's negative.
Well, that is very individualistic thinking.
But it's also, no, it's not. When you're going to church and you're in that body and you have your family and you are giving care and you're teaching them not to hurt and not to hate, that's something. That, to me, is valuable as all be it. But then there's a next level where it's like they have to think about the system that they're in. Be it the state that they're in. The city that they're in or the state that they're in. Right. And when they go to vote, they might only vote for... They don't think deep. They don't go deeper and be like, well, I want to vote to cause an effect for this group of people or that type of thinking.
Outside of your own self.
Outside of your own self.
Again, we're talking about individualistic versus...
I don't think... I feel like... you brought that up in our first episode.
Talking about social psychology.
But I don't believe in that. See, these words, to me, are words at most of the time. Individualistic thinking can be somebody saying I want to turn left versus right in a park. Like I'm in a park and I want to go this way versus that way. That's individual thinking.
No. As it applies to social psychology, individualistic thinking or whatever, or individualism actually has to do with honoring the individual self. So like we are honoring you as yourself as a sovereign entity, you yourself.
That's not my point.
More so than we are honoring how you contribute to society and how you interwork with society and what you give back and how that happens. And I wish that I could remember what was the other one, and maybe that'll come back to me too.
Well, I guess if I'm going to...
So it's individualistic, and then the opposite of that is...
if I'm going to marry myself to that thought, which I will hopefully find out more about, groupthink is what I'm talking about above individualistic.
That's also social psychology.
Yeah, I know. I understand it, and I know it. I know what you're getting at. I was trying to talk about the 3 levels. I was trying to say that at some point when we are addressing the idea that we have to try to affect things that are part of a system. People don't believe that they even are meant to or supposed to or able to or care to. Because they don't think that they can change a system. They think that they can change groupthink or participate in their church and donate money. And then, as an individual, they think, I'm not doing any harm. But when it comes to like this other third stratosphere where they have to address What is systemic? How can we really affect that? If I vote for Obama, are you still going to be feeling like you are disenfranchised? Yes. So they don't think that they can actually cause an effect there, but they can think at our church like, hey, in their, like they used to have this thing called the Iron Man at this one really massive, large church I went to where the men all came together and they talked about how they can actually cause an effect that was positive outside of their normal comfort zone.
Okay.
In that, they were thinking about ways that were like spiritually philanthropic. How can I actually give empathy in a place that I don't really normally give empathy to? Okay. Pull over to the side of the road and ask, with sandwiches in your hand to transients and ask like how you're doing. Is there anything that I don't know much, but can I help? I belong to a church and I'm just trying to spread my wings. Like that's the kind of things they were talking about in that space. And so that is taking their groupthink and then applying it to that level. Mm-hmm. Systemic makes people really troubled. They don't get it. That's why I think they're calling them Marxists, socialists, communists. They're calling people that are left of power like Kamala Harris right now. I think that they're getting
any different than that though, because that is where you start to and begin to shape the system.
All I'm saying is I think that people don't understand. People's brain does not conceptualize that they are a part of the system already. And I'm because you brought up Angela Davis. I think this is wonderful. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I was going to say the exact same thing that you ended up bringing up, though, was about, yes, and Angela Davis very much has spoken out against capitalism.
Right.
And there very much has been a, you cannot have capitalism without racism is one of the direct quotes I believe Angela Davis has said. You cannot have capitalism without racism.
Right. What was the thing that we just brought up? That you just last brought up?
Systemic racism on when it started happening. It's not giving me anything, but it's giving me references to Abraham Lincoln.
What? Okay. It might be the Lincoln Project. Is that the Lincoln Project?
I have zero answers.
They're quoting him on how he said something racist and it's part of systemic,
but the terminology.
It's not giving me anything.
Okay. I might have to. Did you look up systemic racism term?
I mean, I can.
When you Google search, you put a lot of words in there.
When I Google things get into some weird places
sometimes.
Get into some.
I'm just saying. Anyway, where's the systemic racism?
It's an undiagnosed, self-diagnosed OCD in me, perhaps. And that's again taking it to the borderline portion of
Do we want to get into that yet? I think we would have. Let's sit here for a second because I do want to talk about things like OCD and how I think the African American culture is not yet ready to start engaging mental health in a public way. I think that they have since in my lifetime really started addressing mental health, but quietly because that on top of being black.
I know. In our community.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of messes with their world. If they have to engage that. I'm in counseling.
In our cities, our community, our bit of stretch out Seattle and surrounding area type communities, I know that that within the last couple of years, that's actually been a very huge, there's been a push. There's been a, by folks. I mean.
Feels like a bit of a bottleneck. It's
there are organizations. Gosh, I wish I had some of the names. Oh my gosh, I feel like tonight's the night. Tonight's the big night where I'm I don't remember the name. I didn't read the article. I didn't do my homework. I'm gonna give myself an F for tonight.
For the first part of the
F minus. Well, no, maybe for the whole night. I swear this is the fifth time where I'm I wish I could remember the names of those organizations. If I could just even remember part of the name, I could ask M to look it up.
Should I go there?
The local organizations for the mental health.
You're not remembering that stuff, but you remember your white people song. You're not remembering that stuff, but you remembered your...
What? What?
It's just our memories are interesting. I'm just about to...
Our memories are racist.
That's exactly what I was going to say, but she said it for me. I was going to say...
Genetic racism.
I think your cerebellum's racist.
It's in our blood. It's cerebellum?
I don't know. I don't know what the... I don't know
My frontal lobe?
I don't know what your front... I don't know. That's rude.
Racist.
I think I was just racist just now.
Can we inherit racism?
What was the other thing that we were looking up? There's another word.
There was another word.
You have disenfranchise.
Yes, thank you.
So from all three sources, it says to deprive of a legal right. And then 2 of the sources said of some privilege or immunity. The other one just said legal right.
That's why it's being so applied
to deprive of a legal right. So damn, are we disenfranchised from voting because they do all these fucking excuse my language? They do all these strategic.
There's still voter suppression out there,
which is
like Texas, for instance. There's in Texas, there's like an area where there's like I think over 3 million people, over 2 million people, or something like that, and then they went from 13 voting boxes to turn your ballots in down to 1, and like across in the area for millions of people, and to put that into perspective, there's another town that's always had 1 voter box that has something like I don't even know. It's tens of thousands of people or something for 1 box. Gosh, it's like the size of our area here.
Can I interrupt you for a moment, please, with that statement about Texas?
Uh-oh.
Can you? I feel like people don't understand. If you had someone attack everyone in your family at the exact same time, everyone in your family, you get a phone call and text message and Facebook post and Instagram that every single person in your family is being attacked at the exact same time. Attacked viciously.
Like physically.
Physically.
Okay.
Verbally, physically, you name it. That's what it feels like when we hear about that type of thing in Texas. In my skin, I was born in Texas. I was born in Fort Hood, Texas, military base. But I mean, and maybe there's something operantly that's happening for me when I hear about it. But when you hear, how many times do you get to go hear, all the white people are getting fucked with? I mean, there's people that's why people are banding together going, I don't like the fact that they're talking about us being Republican. I don't like the fact that they're talking about us being white. That's racist too. But what I'm saying is that this...
Yeah. Oh yeah, the numbers of times that I've been called a racist. Which, like, I mean...
Wait. That you've been called a racist?
By Trump Republicans, mostly. Like, honestly, a lot of conservative folks don't ever take it that far.
Again, you're blowing me away. Are you trying to tell me that white people are saying that you're racist to them as white people?
Yeah. I was just called racist and sexist in that Facebook thread by that white dude today. And okay, so first of all, his post, which, like, I went down the rabbit hole on this one, y'all, with this guy.
Wait, can you slow down? Just to dial it back for a second.
Yeah.
For those that are disenfranchised, are you telling me that a white person said you are racist to a white person?
Yes, a white male, blonde hair, blue-eyed, white dude.
There was
a friend of a friend.
There was a phrase a long time ago.
He's a friend of a friend. I don't know him in person.
There's a phrase a long time ago where it was in lover, in-word lover.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the new that word. I don't know.
So to just call a white person to call another white person racist?
That's happening all the time.
Is that even is that legal? Can you say that? Can you say?
Well, I think that what they do, they feel like they're being called racist even if you don't directly say you're a racist. So oftentimes you'll,
No, but I understand. So I understand a white person calling another person racist to other people. Like, you're racist to the other people.
Yes.
But are you saying a white person saying you're racist?
Being racist to them? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like,
God.
I'm racist against white people. Well, so the topic we're ushering ourselves into here is called reverse racism, right?
Wait. We're about to find out what she's going to tell us about, but let me just ask this question. Are you telling me your whole thing, your hours and hours on the Insta face you were today was about them being concerned that you are using reverse racism against them? You as a white person was actually calling them a racist, and is that what it was? Reverse racism?
Is this excitement? Are you excited?
You have no idea how exciting this is. You guys are this stupid. If that person's that stupid to say you're reverse racist because I'm white, and you're telling me that
common.
I'm wrong.
I'm letting you know right now that's common.
Damn.
That's so the white people who are engaging with other white folks.
I don't even know. Oh God.
Yes, these are the conversations.
I'm gonna try my best to be quiet because I really.
This is not the first time I've been called. This is not the first time either. Today is not the first day.
Oh my God.
There's been a good few years.
Okay.
Yeah. It was on social media. So I could like walk you through, this is what I said, this is what he said. And I guarantee I may have overstepped boundaries. I'm working on making things more intuitive to myself so that I'm not speaking on behalf of Black people or speaking for this or doing that in whatever work I am doing and speaking to other white people, right? Like I mess up all the time and openly acknowledge that I say racist shit still, that I say racist, I mean, crap, he calls me out too.
Sorry, there's a white person out there mad at another white person for reverse racism. I'm a white person.
He's like, well, no, he called me sexist too. I got called racist and sexist by the same white blonde hair, blue-eyed guy. No. Oh yeah, I got called sexist too.
Okay.
I might have even been called like the most racist or sexist person he's ever.
That can happen. No, I get that one. I get that.
Oh, you get that one.
I get that one.
Oh well, now that's interesting.
I follow another.
That one, I get that one. You don't get the racist one.
No, and here's the reason why is because what if he's they them?
He's not.
But then you don't. You see what I'm?
Yes, I do. No.
If he's.
Unless he's got a whole separate Facebook account. Unless he's got a whole separate
So you were about to slay me because you thought, oh, I didn't understand. But what I'm trying to say is if you're in the middle ground of where you are.
I just told you, no, he's not. Oh he prefers he.
You know what we should do?
He probably wouldn't be too upset if we called him they.
Let's take a small break while you grab your phone and then you give us the dissertation. Is that what it is when you actually elaborate on things that are written out? I want to know every word. Let's take a small break.
Francis is just too white.
That's what fucked society up. Seeing the perpetual... Don't let me get into that part of the game.
Okay, well, Jerry Springer was not
Jerry Springer was crazy. Maury Povich and Jerry Springer and...
but it would be an interesting study to go back and to study how they casted and portrayed Black people versus white people in reality TV shows.
I was a casting associate producer.
And when you casted Black people... Which was different than when you casted white people? Was it super racist? You might be getting in trouble for talking like this, though.
I think the statute of limitations has allowed me to be able to talk about things.
15 years ago.
Wait a minute.
He's dead. The person... No, he's not.
Who's dead?
Mind. Dick Clark.
Dick Clark. That's a whole different thing, and I love Dick Clark, and that's a whole different thing.
I know, but that was not even the same
when we go cast a city...
company.
When I worked as a casting associate producer, we'd go cast a city. We'd have to do 5 shows in the city. All 5 shows had to go, and they all cost money. At best, 1 show was an African American or ethnic cast. So it was either going to be an African American cast or an ethnic diverse cast. But every
white.
No, 5 shows, 5 people in each show.
Got it.
Get it? So
yes,
one show would be ethnic or
of the 5.
African American.
1 show of the 5.
And the only places that were different would be St. Memphis, Atlanta. Those are the cities that were like distinct.
What was different about those cities?
You'd basically try to find someone, sprinkle some salt on the pepper type of situation. Not because
so in those 3 cities, it was acceptable to mix everybody together.
Let's put it this way. Because it's a market, meaning the people, the viewership who watches that show. I thought
everybody everywhere watches the same dang shows. No?
No.
That's a problem.
What?
I thought I was watching shows in like St. Louis. Like I watched the show that you were producing.
So
while you were producer on it even. I would stay up late and watch Eliminate.
Do you know what syndication is?
Eliminate, right? Am I right?
Yeah. Do you know what syndication? Do you know what syndication means?
And they'd end up in a hot tub.
That was my specialty.
Naked.
Getting
topless at least.
Again, when you say 1 word or 2 words, we don't elaborate on what it is that's going on.
That's okay.
It sounds okay. That was my specialty. Naked, topless at least. Anyway, do you know what syndication means?
A syndicated television show. Like a syndicated... I feel like syndication makes it like official somehow, but I don't technically know what it means.
So syndicated means like
stamp of approval.
You're watching reruns. You're just like the network is bought it for more reruns.
Yeah, but didn't I get to see the shows?
I'm going to give you an example of why you watch something in a different market. If you're watching episode 3 here, In another market, they're watching episode 15 because
yes,
it's more like
I
them.
understand that.
So the exact same day at the exact same time slot, you're not watching the same show.
But I don't get to ever see that show that they watched?
It's very possible that you never see that show.
Ever.
It's very possible.
Because an algorithm somewhere, because of it, said that...
No, actually, that's the truth. It's our media algorithm. We want to feed you the information that you like to watch.
No wonder our country's so racist. We need to see different places and different people from our own dang selves.
Well, that did happen too, and when they started to rock the boat, in reality TV was pretty much birthed from MTV's Real World.
Yes.
And when they started to actually get into that, in the very beginning, there was actually, what do you call those people? Psychologists?
Mm-hmm.
And scientists that were very curious about the human condition. They're like, can we look at this? This is the only place we can have a lab rattle. Made up a word. System.
Lab rattle?
Yeah, just made it up.
Lab rattle? Like shake it up?
This is what I was doing.
Lab rattle.
That's what I just did in my brain. Boom. Bones it.
Bathroom stall.
For the bathroom stall. So, please go ahead. Let's go into what you were talking about. You're not even there yet.
I never got there. But he did reply, so we could...
Do you want to go ahead and read it for a second? Because I just want to say something.
Well, I don't know how many seconds you'd like me to...
Oh, I don't like this part about when you do things like this.
Well, this is what we should have done off camera.
No, that's what you were doing. You were dusting.
No, okay, so I went to the restroom and dusted instead of looking at my phone to, like, square away whatever.
I'm sorry, I keep looking at you like... She's asleep.
But I would have actually... But what I would have done is I would have consulted both of you to be like, okay, so what do we want to do? Go through the whole thing? Go through the...
Well, our associate producer did say you should go through your phone and kind of pluck things out, which is a very good... Associate producers are actually the bread and butter of producership. They're the ones that hold it together, that don't get any money sometimes and don't get any credit. So, we appreciate you. Just kidding. She gets paid really well. In food.
Okay, so do you want me to start at the top of this?
Yes.
Because, okay, so first of all, this, and we're going to come up with a name, right? I heard somebody throw out something like come up with a name. A nickname.
Like a nickname, or call them Baby Blue Eyes.
Oh, I mean, this person has a whole name that's really easy to turn into a nickname.
No.
I'm not going to get first and last. It's a very common name. Really?
Yeah,
I can't?
But don't use any part of the story of the name. Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to... Go ahead.
What do you mean, part of the story of the name?
We got to be like our homies. This is Miro. We can't be like... We got to be allegedly. We got to say allegedly they are da-da-da-da-da. Because we can't have any suits against us because we're talking about them.
Well, I'm not going to get their full name. They're going to know I'm talking about them, though. And I don't care.
Let's go there.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so first of all, this is a friend or a work associate or maybe both or something like that of a very close family friend of ours.
A very close family friend of ours that works at one of the top name brands in the world.
Hey.
Companies.
Okay, so this person...
I bring that up because it kind of helps the intellectual structure of what's going on here. Very smart people talking shit about each other.
This person is blonde hair, blue-eyed.
Oh my god, I get to see a picture and you don't. I see a picture of the dude. Can I hold it while we talk about him?
Oh, cradle the racist. Anyways, he doesn't know he's racist. Oh, he is. I'm sure he is. I mean, aren't they?
He looks sad.
Okay, so aren't all of the people who carry guns around into Capitol buildings and then try to, and then who eventually like go down that hole far enough, who go and like try to kidnap governors of states, aren't they like pretty sad people? Wouldn't you have to be?
Whoa.
Wouldn't you have to be pretty lost and pretty sad to like get to the point down the rabbit hole of?
Are you Tukwila Leonard Jones of borderline racist marriage, saying that this person put a gun on his shoulder and walked into a Capitol building?
Hell no! I'm saying that he's going down the same rabbit holes that lead people to do that.
That sentence structure led me down.
I'm saying that he's going down the same same YouTube rabbit holes that are like gateway drugs to like, oh no, I need to get my AR, whatever, AK, I don't know, whatever they are. I don't even know about guns. I've never even shot a real gun before in my life, guys. But I've shot a BB gun, but I don't consider that a real gun. Like real ammo that can like...
I didn't know that. I thought you did shoot a gun.
Nope. BB gun is the biggest, mostest...
I know your father had some pistols.
It was a handgun BB gun. My father had a rifle.
Your mom has a rifle.
Only because my dad might have forgot it there when he moved out.
I'll write that down.
Anyways, if there's a rifle, it's like in her bedroom, in the closet, in a sock.
Wait, first of all...
Yeah, a sock, a big sock. Like, like a men's tube sock over the end of it.
No, over the end of it. It's not in a sock, because it can't fit in a sock.
Well, like half of it does.
I don't think that's...
Doesn't it? Yes, it does. A rifle. That's
a rifle. And you feel free to like and subscribe and then type in
any information pertaining to... A shotgun. My bad. It's a shotgun, right?
A shotgun can be short.
It was like... No.
It can be like this. It can be
no,
like a sawed-off shotgun.
Big-ass gun. It was like the size of a 3-year-old.
And there's a sock that goes up half of a 3-year-old?
And there's a tube sock, a men's sportsy tube sock.
Do it. Do it.
That goes over the nozzle of the gun.
Okay.
And halfway down, almost to almost to where it widens out, to where it's like the handle of the gun.
Yeah.
And the handle's like this long.
In the closet. Okay.
It was never locked up, ever.
So if you're going on the
There were not those laws around when I was a kid. And if there were, then my parents were not responsible.
According to Tukwila's life story, the old laws are still applicable in her mom's home.
But we're talking... Let's call this guy...
Okay.
And... yes, he's going down... I firmly believe that he is going down some of the same YouTube rabbit holes that the 13 people who are now charged with God knows what, because they tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan. It's not funny. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm like, what else do we do? I laugh when things are so tragic. It's uncomfortable and horrible, and that makes things worse because I'm laughing. But
according to the lead FBI investigators, these guys were extremely well organized, and the fact that there's more than 2 to 3 people involved.
It's one of the terrorist groups. I'm not even going to call those MNFers militias, which is what a lot of the news sources...
They're not a militia. This particular group is not a militia. They're just people that came together and been like, let's go do some bad stuff. They came together on Facebook, on online social groups. I don't know if it's Facebook. They even tried to do crowdfunding. Did you know that? Like crowdfunding. Like hit me up on my Cash App.
I didn't hear that much news today. I didn't hear that much news today. Last I heard, first there was like 7 of them, now there's like 13 of them. There's probably...
You're tangented. I tangented.
Okay, well, one of the only reasons why I chimed in on this particular page is because I have deep respect for the friend who is connected to this person, and it also appeared that like some very sound mind like people were really trying to reach this person. We're really trying to like say, hey, dude, what's going on? What's up with this? Why am I seeing this on your page? Right? Like a couple of people seemed shocked by what he posted, and then conversations ensued, I guess. But let's just say right now what we were working with on this person's page. On my page. This person. On my page, he decided to post Kamala Harris is a communist. Let's make sure that that's exactly.
So all these white friends.
Oh, okay.
Try to go.
Say it verbatim. I can say it verbatim.
Yeah, but I just want to get capstone it with my little stank on it. White friends try to stop.
Yes.
From spinning into.
There's 93 comments on this.
Damn. So he is loved. He's loved.
Well, a couple of people were saying we're
alone.
No, I don't know about that. Nobody said alone.
Okay.
Nobody's standing up for this poor soul. None of his conservative friends. A couple of them liked a thing that he said, but nobody's actually gone in and because nobody's actually attacked. Like nobody's actually attacked. No, he's feeling attacked.
Like, you're racist. You.
Yeah.
You racist.
Give my left nut if it... I haven't read a lot of these comments, but one person says, I'd give my left nut... No, he's got some, really nutty right-wing friends, too, here. I'd give my left nut if it was Pence and not Trump running for president. I feel like Trump just keeps putting his foot in his mouth almost to the point his own supporters are bailing out.
I hope that...
Yes, the dude is a disaster. I was shocked he won in the first place. Me first was never a good quality to promote in a leadership position. Well, this is good. At least we're going to vote for Trump. Maybe he won't vote... Okay, so this is somebody else. So a lot of conversations have ensued since I was able to touch base again.
But left nut's the one siding with.
Left nut's the one that
I truly pray you don't get testicle cancer.
And left nut thinks Trump's gone too far as well. And if left nut thinks Trump's gone too far, then Trump has totally gone too far.
Testicular? I really truly hope you don't get testicular cancer.
Who? Left nut?
Yeah, I feel like when you put that kind of stuff in the air, and it's
that he'd give his left nut.
He was gonna get rid of a nut.
I mean, he might blow it off with a gun too. Like a lot of racists have been blowing off their
sexual
junk.
innuendo.
There has been more than one racist.
He could have said
with a gun who's blown their groin off.
Oh, that's a thing. They're carrying their guns for the first time. They got a pistol and they put it in their crotch area. Some of them are
babies too.
Boom.
Some of them are 18, right? Like that.
Ass cheeks
one
off.
Dude.
But it could have been a sexual thing. Like, I'll give my left nut.
Like
I'm gonna
with just his left one. He's got
some
that
people
kind of
have.
control?
I don't know if that's true, but I don't know who we just reached.
Em's gonna fall asleep. Tired about talking about nuts. Let's move on. There's people watching with popcorn.
That comment was hilarious to me. Can you look up left nut, please? No, that's not funny.
What? Left nut used to be a thing, though. Like, why did we talk? Why was left nut such a thing back in the 90s? What happened there? I feel like something about like left nut used to be.
That? Did anybody famous do something like that?
I feel like there was some kind of something that happened.
I remember a weird Abraham Lincoln with his thing in his hand. Do you remember that?
No. What?
Abraham Lincoln had his thing in his hand. I know maybe there's a.
Is that another clap?
Yeah. Wait. What?
In U.S. slang, to give everything, literally one's left testicle. In other words, to want something very much.
Well, why not the right testicle?
In slang, like, is there a date when the slang started going down where people were like busting a left nut?
It was the 80s or 90s.
It feels like the 80s. I give a left nut, two nut.
It was in a rap song. Was it in a rap song?
New Jack Swing from my nuts.
New Jack Swing
from my nuts was the actual lyric. And I
don't but I never heard that, so it was just New Jack Swing coming at you, because that was like what
you know how many people I've heard, especially women, especially Caucasian women, who had a different version of New Jack Swing from my nuts? What did you say you think it was?
New Jack Swing coming at you? Because I only heard it on the radio.
First
of all, my mom never let me buy music. All the music I heard when I was a child was on the radio. I was never allowed to go and buy tapes. Because that's me. That's my generation. I wanted to go to Fred Meyers, and buy tapes. And
I don't even know if Fred Meyers.
Didn't let me. So when I did have money, I bought a couple of tapes. I bought like Whitney Houston.
I have a story of my friend,
Cyndi Lauper, and
I have a friend that looks like John B. or looked like John B.
Oh Lord, we're getting so off topic.
No, it's okay. That's what we do.
Fine. It is what we do.
We're gonna
get back. This is how we talk.
Yeah,
just
I have a friend that. Let me finish my thing. I had a friend that looked like John B. who's a DJ. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And we had some girlfriends of ours that were friends that were girls that lived up north from where we were, and we were rolling with them in the car, going to the beach to go kick it back in the high school days. And they were singing this very devout, wonderful, sweetheart Christian ladies. I'm not saying I'm not Christian, but I am down. Hip hop is my blood. But even though I can't remember the artist, they were saying, you can do Jack Swing if you want to. Just the whole, and then we were like listening in to like try to hear what they were articulating. And then we told them what it was, and the sadness and the sickness that overcame
What is it again? Say what it really is again.
New Jack Swing from my nutsack.
New Jack Swing from my nutsack? Will you please look that up too?
You can New Jack Swing from my nuts.
New Jack.
Not nutsack. New Jack Swing from my nuts.
New Jack Swing. Like swing?
Yeah, you can New Jack Swing.
You can New Jack Swing from my nuts.
Why did you just say that like that?
Is that words? I'm just trying to get the words.
I would give my left nut to have you say that again.
You can New Jack Swing from my nuts.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure we get
the
reference.
Is that right?
You can do that. She's trying to find the song. She doesn't know. We want to know if you can find the song, You Can New Jack Swing from my nuts, by typing in, You Can New Jack Swing from my nuts.
It's on my nuts, but yeah.
On my nuts.
You can New Jack Swing on my nuts.
Boom. That's heavier. Who's the artist?
New Jack Swing on my nuts.
Give her a second. So, the interesting thing that I will say here that we just learned, unless you knew this already, that you did say it. Left nut is an actual thing that was like in history, urban history.
Yes, because, because I heard it all the time.
So isn't there power in that? I was mocking him, but when you think about the base, that dude was like, I would give my left nut. I was ready to knock it on some white shit.
He said he'd give his left nut for Pence to be running.
the whole Republican Party wanted Pence to run. They wanted Donald Trump to not run. When Donald Trump came down his escalator, that ruined the whole Republican Party's story. That's exactly what happened.
Well, they would have had a much better time if Pence were president.
We would have a much better.
Would we?
Pence is.
I feel like it's debatable to talk about whether or not we'd be having a better time.
Oh my gosh, black people would be mad at me, but telling you right now, Pence is a Republican's Republican. Like he would have done exactly what they normally do, and
which is
try to make sure that they can gain more ground and more votes.
By doing what?
By putting people in position.
By being old and white.
Oh, that's fair. So
I mean, that's my old, white, and male. That is what I mean.
No, you're right.
I don't know if we'd be better off or not.
Especially when you go back to when. Okay, hold on a second. Remember when they had the photo?
As a woman, I don't feel like women would be.
You remember when they showed Congress and all the Democratic Party had the women beautifully. I don't know if that's sexist for me to say beautifully, by the way. That's kind of interesting.
Well, beautifully.
The women were there.
Something can be beautiful without it being like feminine.
Poetic.
It was
to me. It was poetic. All the women were wearing white in the Congress.
I call lots of dudes beautiful.
All the women were wearing white in Congress.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was amazing. And then the whole Republican Party, except for the couple sprinkled in women, looked downtrodden, depressed, in dark clothes, and almost like it was like the. I forget what the Empire was. In Star Wars, it was like the bad versus good.
They're all senior citizens.
It was like
old as hell.
Oh no!
And most of them are male. How many people of color are sitting over there on the Republican side running anything?
There was 3.
Out of
one of them quit. One of them stuck around, and the other one might be the one that's married to Mitch McConnell's daughter, who I was just talking about. When we are on break.
How many women? There's also 3, 5.
Oh, women total?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's
on
5.
the Republican side.
Hey, do you have that song in the artist by chance?
I think I do.
Okay.
But then I looked at the lyrics of the song and it didn't have it. But If I Had No Loot by Tony.
Yeah.
Tony. Yeah.
Tony. That's right.
With I at the end.
How do we forget that?
Feels good.
Well, Tone, Lauren, it's spelled different every time. Tony. Like Tone, Tony, Toni.
Yeah, because they're all Tonys.
Have you ever heard of Tony?
Mm-mm.
It's worth a little dip. It's worth a little dip. Feels good by 20.
Feels good.
No, you don't have to play it. We can't legally play it.
Anyways, apparently I'm sexist and I'm racist.
I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I do racist shit, and I uphold a racist system because you can't really get by in this life. Anybody, without upholding it at some point, somehow, some way, doing something.
Hey, mother of black children, thank you for saying that.
Shit. What?
Well, you just said you're racist, and the truth is you just said it, and you got black people on the bed right now, sleeping, resting. Little nigrets. Mm-hmm. You have children, you have males in there who are going to grow up wondering. We have one already asking questions. Jeez, that was heartbreaking today when he was talking about the stuff with the news. The news is so jacked up. Our world is right now on fire.
Oh gosh, we got to be so much more careful about
and how you're racist and how he's assuming that's
being equally deceived. Truth and facts do matter.
How do you help a person like that?
Well, I mean,
Please articulate something that you're reading so we can.
At some point, you just hope they don't have children and that they're incapable of it.
Wow. So you're very judgy.
Judgy? This guy is just the epitome of...
Say something so we can have a little bit of content since we're not doing
okay, so some background on him from his own words. Mainly, I just hate progressive liberal ideology. So he lumps together progressives, he lumps together liberal and...
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He hates progressive liberal ideology, whatever you want to call it. I think it's cancer for humans. He refers to it as cancer for humans a few times in here. Of the worst kind, currently available on the political stage. I gave this movement a chance. He's speaking about the movement right now.
His mom and dad were liberals.
We're reading him like a book.
No, I'm not
reading
him.
I gave this movement a chance because I do genuinely care about the well-being of people, but kept seeing atrocious events happening in the name of equality, plus the handling of the pandemic causing negative progress toward your own objectives. And don't want to see more of that in my hometowns. I think this was actually a response to somebody else's comment to him, but that's okay.
Overall,
Because I wanted to give a base for like where this person's beliefs are.
So, we are all going through the same similar thing, and I feel like what? Wait, what? What's going on?
Totally wrong song. It's by Ice Cube. The wrong N-word to fuck with.
What?
No.
Ice Cube?
And it's
Nope.
in the lyric.
That is not Ice Cube. No, there's no way. It was way too
You
funky.
can
It was
New
way
Jack
too
Swing?
funky for
Yeah.
Ice Cube.
It's like, it wasn't Ice Cube.
It was like...
You can New Jack Swing. You know what? I might have to put a
It was
reference in
like... I mean, it was like a real
Yeah,
funky
I'm going to have to
song.
put a little thing in
We'll
the
figure
cut
it out.
break. Yeah, I have to do cut break and do a little special sauce on that one.
Oh, I got blocked by... Oops, I'm dropping names. I got blocked by Kiefer Sutherland. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's not, is he passed away? Did he? I can't say that
God.
name in vain of these.
I hope.
I hope he's alive.
it's not bad if he did. He's a really good actor, by the way.
He is a really good actor.
Well, white man.
Anyways, let's just call this person. Need a good K name. Kangaroo.
You shouldn't. Why do you have to do it? You're so literal. You're like, I have to do the name.
Because I'm not reading anything.
She's just getting the king.
Anyways.
We'll learn this. She doesn't know how to do the nicknames fast.
Well, I called one other person out for being like I was like, that's borderline eugenics believer, because somebody chimed in. Oh, one friend did chime in and tried to back him up by saying human equality will never exist. It's been desired and tried for thousands of years. We're just not all born equally. Maybe the fight is not with equality, but with understanding and acceptance.
So,
Oh, shoot. Dropped
God, dude, what is the deal pickle with your little brain? Literal brain.
I have a literal brain. That's what the deal pickle is with my literal brain.
All right,
Deal with it.
I'm going to ask you questions about that sentence, because I'm concerned here. You questioned what you just read.
I didn't say name though. Name I'm saying perfectly fine because it's not his real name.
Okay, I'm not worried about that. I'm questioning what you just read and why you are looking at that as a problem. What was wrong with your sentence? To me, what they said was
because
right.
I was talking about systemic equality. I wasn't talking about human equality and humans being born equal or not equal or anything that has to do with that. I was talking about systemic equality. I was talking about the laws and the systems that we put in place to govern us and to follow and to govern ourselves.
You're also saying that you believe that there is a place in our societies for equality systemically. For our systems to actually evolve to a place where we all have equal interactions. You believe that's going to happen. And they're saying, I do not believe it's possible because we've never been able to do any of it ever in the history of man.
He was just totally off topic. I wasn't talking about human equality. He's
I know,
talking
but I
about the
think you're being too
substance
literal.
of humans.
I mean, it's like kind of like when we talk to each other, we, as a married couple, we say things that are kind of like this sentence. And I actually understand what they're saying, and I'm trying to understand why that's problematic to suggest that we've never gotten it right.
Oh, I don't think it's problematic for people to just totally feel like, oh, well, I don't think it's ever going to happen, so who cares?
But are they saying they want people to be more humankind?
They want more people to be, maybe the fight is not with equality, but with understanding and accept, like, we need to have understanding and acceptance.
So
I didn't feel like getting into it with a whole nother douchebag.
Just let me ask you this. Are you kind of reading it? And this is, I don't know. Maybe,
I just didn't feel like getting into it with this person
you
either.
just say douchebag, right?
I called
A
him
bag
a
of
douchebag.
douche.
I mean, you don't have to always
What is a douchebag?
I feel like, I don't feel
I know
like...
what that is, but I don't know what a douchebag is.
Well, a douchebag is the bag part of the douche that you squeeze to get the junk up in your junk.
Sounds like a nice cleanser, a very fragrant...
It's not nice. It totally cleans out all of your natural flora, and you should never douche, especially with scented douches. If you flush your vagina out with anything, it should be with vinegar
Your toes
and water.
are... Oh my God, your toes were in the camera. So...
Toes!
Jeez, no, put them down. If we offended any Muslims because the feet were out, I'm so sorry. Your feet are up. You don't know. You better look that up. That's okay. You don't have to look it up. But you can't put your feet in people's faces. That is actually an insult.
Well, I wouldn't put it in their face if they were sitting
We
right
just
in front
lost
of me.
all of Saudi Arabia. And I could be racist for saying that. Because you put your Tootsie up there on the camera.
In the camera?
Yeah, we're not supposed to look at feet.
If I put my foot in your face...
No, we're not supposed to look at feet. We are human. I'm trying to be way woker than you
But aren't we
right
supposed to be ourselves?
No, that's not what they do. They don't have the freedom of
No,
having
us,
feet up.
you and me in our own podcast, aren't we like, we're ourselves?
I didn't say.
And
we
maybe
weren't.
Tukwila puts her foot in the camera and talks about
And
vaginas.
maybe Leonard.
You don't think we'd lose them because I'm talking about what to put in vaginas, but you think we're going to lose them because my foot's in the camera.
Okay, well, you are talking a lot as a white woman talking about people of color. I'm talking
I'm talking about vaginas, and I put my foot in the camera, and I think that maybe we would lose more people over the fact that I'm talking about vaginas and what to put in them.
I think we just gained 500 people just now because you said vaginas a lot of times. What I'm trying to say is I'm trying to keep people invested in educating yourself. There are many hundreds of thousands of people that actually find it a complete insult to this existence as a human being if you show your foot.
Okay, would you rather talk about that, or can we talk about how to properly clean a vagina?
That's an interesting question. On comedy, I want to talk about what you said. On facts and actual spirituality, I want to talk about the Mormons would never want to look at that. They shouldn't even be looking at the TV in the first place. If you're Mormon and watch it, no, wrong, whoops. I meant to say Amish, so I messed up. Amish can't look at tootsies like you just did, and Muslims don't typically look at tootsies of women unless they're trying to marry them, and you just put your tootsies out, and...
I'm already married.
What's the one where they wear the dress all the way down?
To you.
Wear the dress all the way to their head and toes?
Burkas?
First of all, are you even understanding what I'm saying? Yes. Are you understanding what I'm saying, though? Because I feel like you're trying to be funny over something I'm really trying to invest our time in, which is talking about other cultures. Are you laughing at other cultures? God. Are you so caught up in your white world right now that you don't want to listen to what I'm saying? Mother of black men?
What?
You actually are caught on your heels right now.
I'm caught on my heels right now?
Yes, I'm talking about something that's true. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes or no?
I do understand what you're saying.
So why is this moment, why are you lost in what I'm saying as something that we should not be talking about?
I don't feel like I'm lost in what you're saying. I'm just being quiet so that you can say more of whatever you want to say. And when you're finished, I will
talk about vaginas
share with people how to properly clean vaginas.
Please go.
Well, no.
No, I'm done. I just want to make sure that we understood that is an important topic to talk about.
Why wouldn't it be an important topic to talk about?
Because it seemed like we're doing exactly what we did last time. It seems like I don't know how your brain works. I still don't know. And that's the interesting thing. You were talking about something.
You're on your toes. Gotta keep a Virgo guessing, man.
No, you don't.
Virgos get bored real easy.
Virgos get bored real easy, but when you keep a Virgo on their toes, they get dangerous real fast.
Keeps it spicy for me.
And
I like a little danger.
I
like a little danger.
You don't like danger. What you do like is the fact that
safe
I do
danger, like
all the cooking in the house. She likes that I do all the cooking.
I used to like roller coasters. I have a bad back now, so I can't go on roller coasters.
Oh my god!
I'm sad about that.
You only drank water.
Yeah, I haven't had a single drink. Well, no. I had a tiny little bit of wine.
Well, thank you very much for tuning in.
Am I messing everything up right now?
Thank you very much for tuning into our third episode.
No, we're not stopping here. This is where you want to stop?
On vaginas and footsies.
I never got to say how to properly clean a vagina.
I would like to know how to properly clean a vagina.
Well, it depends on what your problem is. But
I don't have. I have yeast. I might have a yeast infection. I don't know you. I don't know. It just feels really uncomfortable.
Are you pretending?
I'm an improviser. I'm just going to try to give you some... You literally just said...
I don't need anybody to play off of. I just want to...
You said your...
We talked about douches. We talked about douchebags. I called him a douchebag.
You did.
Do you want to finish the conversation, get to the place where, I was called a racist and a sexist, or do you not?
I thought you wanted to talk about vaginas because you asked me, do I want to talk about vaginas? And I was like, it sounds funny. So I just kept talking. And now I'm here. And now it's not
You're all over the place.
I am not all over the place.
You are all over the place. I love you.
I'm all over the place.
And I love you.
She brought up vaginas and I'm all over the place?
Yeah, but we only had to touch on vaginas for a second, then we could get back to...
We had to touch on vaginas?
Well, no.
First of all, I hope to God that when you watch this again, when I was talking about racial and religious groups, that you bite your tongue. I hope that you understand what I was... what I was really trying to do is talking about actual people of color. The person who's reading, you're the only she in this moment.
Yeah, I was following it. I called somebody a douchebag, and we went off on a douchebag tangent, and then I stuck my foot in the camera while we were talking about that, and then you went to a different place talking about...
Naturally went to a different place, literally because when we watched the episodes before...
Which is great. I don't think that it's bad to go to a different place.
I was literally providing comedy to the fact that you put your foot up there. And then I was also literally giving input on why that is important to note, that we can't be showing our tootsies, not in a way that was trying to stop you from doing it, but a way that was trying to actually convey what I think I represent in this moment, which is talking about things of culture. And I was ready to move on without calling anything other than what I did. Your foot up there, douchebag getting talked about, us marrying everything together. That's literally what I was doing.
Well, how are we supposed to marry everything together now?
Just do what you were, quote unquote, going to do. It's turning into a job. Are you going to talk about the fact that the white guy called you a racist? Because you haven't even gotten to that part yet.
No, I know. I was curious
We were
as
waiting
to whether
for you.
you wanted to stop
I was
that.
waiting for you. So
Well, you were... I don't know.
15 minutes I was waiting for that to happen, and it didn't happen. You were reading the other things. She told you should be looking for it so we can get there. I don't know what's wrong or right. I just know that we're naturally doing what we normally naturally do, and I would love to know.
Well, after he posted a couple of, like, YouTube opinion pieces, one of them is a black officer who's talking about how the protests are bad and why they're bad and why they are actually, like, very offensive to people of color, and his opinion on that. And he's an officer, I believe, in Portland. That was one of the opinion YouTube pieces that he posted to say, look at this opinion.
Of the African-American male who was a second-generation police officer.
Oh, have you seen the...
I know exactly who it is, and I respect him like what he
Yeah,
said.
of course. I respected everything that was said in there, too. At the same time, is it okay for a white person to use that one thing to just bolster all of their own stuff? So
Yes, it is okay for a person that is human to use something to help convey the fact that
to go, look, black people feel this way, too.
Well, but it's not... First of all, it's not about, in my opinion, if I can be so kind. Human the day before George Floyd, I will say it again, was murked in front of everybody. We were all human and confused. And today we're exactly doing the same thing. I want to marry myself to someone that is Caucasian, talking about Angela Davis. I literally married myself to someone who's Caucasian and talking about Angela Davis. I think that it's important to go ahead and find that, because that likeness is what bridges us. So I'm not looking for a divide, personally. But if
A
you think
divide?
Yeah, I'm not going to slay him for bringing that conversation in. I like his message too, the officer that's talking.
I liked the officer's message.
There's a lot of black people that hate
I
the
personally
message.
liked it and can understand how people can hate it, and it. I mean, what I hated about the message is a very systemic thing. I feel like he's in his police officer uniform, and the police officers have not propaganda, but they have PR specialists, and they are using him to talk about this and that and the other thing, and who knows if that's something that's how, who knows how much of that is like him driving that and going, hey, I want this message to be out there.
He's a
or
man.
how much there's some white person going like, hey, can you say these things on film and do this and this and this and this and this and talk about this and all of that, and so we can put it out there on YouTube?
According to his own words, he wanted to convey this message.
Okay. That was not in this particular cut of whatever it was. He did sound like he wanted to do it, but... Well, and he tried... Well, this is a person who has also said, okay, existence of a gap in quality of life is not evidence of racism nor sexism. It is simply evidence of a gap of quality in life. It completely ignores all the complex decisions people make in their lives and asserts that none of those decisions should have any impact on their outcome. It's like responsibility doesn't matter to progressives.
That one's the best one of all regarding what he's missing. He's missing the point that I didn't have my father in my life because the system pushed men to either be drunks, African-American men to be drunks,
Yeah, he's saying that
fight
it's
hard,
their
or go to
fault,
war.
not
Yeah,
the system's
exactly.
fault.
So that's my own story. So that's where I see the clearest picture of him being
He says
completely aloof.
Oh, well, yeah. In criminal law, when a person accuses another of a crime, the burden of proof falls upon the accuser, not the accused. And in the like manner, since you are the one claiming the system is racist, I suggest you support your own claim that the system is consciously racist/sexist, before which I didn't even only say racist and sexist. I actually also pointed to ableism, and I pointed to, like, gender stuff. Anyways, LGBTQ, like, I pointed.
Can you look up ableism?
But he focused on racist and sexist for this. Racist, sexist, before demanding evidence that it is not. Basically, he's going like, if you're going to say that it's racist, then you have to prove that it's racist. Right? That's what he's saying here right now. I suggest you support your own claim that the system is consciously racist/sexist before demanding evidence that it is not. Further, that an equal outcome is the basis of justice, quotation marks, I don't think that should be the basis of what we consider just because of what I just mentioned above, that people should be free to choose higher or lower paying jobs, whether they marry or not, etc.
Wait, who's talking right now?
He is. Even if those decisions happen to be made across lines of race or gender. Oh, no, this guy's a total nut. He thinks that women actually choose to have jobs that pay less. Wow. Anyways, we're going to get there. Oh, no, he's a complete idiot. Our Constitution states...
Wow, there's more.
Oh, God, yeah. Our Constitution states all were created equal, not that all would receive the same pay.
Whoa.
So where...
He's talking about women.
Yeah, he's talking about women, and he's talking about race and sexism
Jesus
and racism.
Christ.
So where is the evidence that the system is discriminating toward people based on race or color? The only evidence I can find is affirmative action, and perhaps some tough-on-crime laws heavily advocated for by the Democrats. See below. We are combining two separate topics which are very different from each other, race and gender. And discrimination may account for a small percentage of the gaps. I wonder if he talked like this to a black female. Anyways, and discrimination may account for a small percentage of the gaps, probably more so with race than gender, but far from a substantial amount of the cause, and certainly not.
He's still talking on a text message.
Blah, blah, blah. Again, I'm still waiting months now for some progressives to present something that is really compelling. Oh, because it's your job to compel him. It's my job to compel him as a woman, and then it's black people's job to compel him to believe.
I feel like black people say less. I don't know if this.
I said less than this guy, and
it's still going.
I mean, it just goes on. I did not read all of this. This is the first time I'm reading all of this.
Do you think he was in his? What time was that at? I'm just curious.
Is it going to say 12 hours ago? 11:30 in the morning.
You think he was in his pajamas still?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in his mom's basement.
It doesn't sound... I mean, it sounds like he had a job. Maybe he doesn't have a job.
He must have a job. If he knows the person who we know, then I hope he has.
No, I mean, what I was going to say is that...
maybe he's laid off right now.
Early on, I was going to say he seems hurt, like in a way that's like by himself, individualism. He's trying to find a union.
This is the kicker to me personally. Is that okay if we hear
I mean, there's a lot of stuff we're talking about one individual that I don't want to really truly offend in a way that's like legal.
Since we're sharing personal experiences, I shared with him what's going on in our neighborhood about the racism and things, which he totally discredited and was like, that doesn't count. But he did want to chime in with his own personal experiences, which is this. Since we're sharing personal experiences, which probably aren't the best way to look at things, which clearly they're not.
But he literally is experiencing... Okay.
Well, I shared an experience. I shared an experience with a whole different person and didn't even address him. I shared a personal experience with... saying his name.
But what I was saying is he's actually sharing his own mental and personal experience versus the reality that we all really face.
No. He's about to share a real in-person physical experience with physical women. All right, ready? It doesn't get sexual, don't worry.
I'm just worried about talking about this guy.
I can't imagine.
There's no way.
I can't imagine a woman who would want to be with an idiot like this. Okay, I'll share one of my own personal experiences. When I decided to work he works in technology. When I decided to work in technology, it was an unpopular decision amongst my female peers. My class was about 28 males and 2 females. The rest of the college had about the same breakdown. In contrast, the math classes I went to prior in high school contained a high percentage of females, at least 50%. And they were good at math. Can you imagine females good at math? Certainly qualified to work in technology. However, technology wasn't popular at the time. Marketing and business management was. So they didn't go into tech. Nobody forced or prevented women from entering the school I went to. They made that decision on their own based on their own interests, not on job discrimination.
Oh, God.
Here we go. The decision of which career to pursue heavily affects how much money people earn. The decision of which career to pursue heavily affects how much money people earn, and women do tend to prefer lower paying careers. Yeah, some dude actually typed this shit out. It's 2020, ladies. Don't date this person. Ask questions. Ask questions, ladies. Ask questions when you go on dates.
Can I see your feeds?
Especially with white men.
Have you ever gone on a
Ask questions. Oh, geez. People are not going to like that I said that.
Have you ever called another white person racist? Like, that's the new thing? Like, there's a deal breaker if you ever call another person racist.
The decision of which career, da-da-da-da-da. Women do tend to prefer lower-paying careers. Anyways.
That's a sentence?
That's a sentence. The decision of which career to pursue heavily affects how much money people earn, and women do tend to prefer lower-paying careers. It at least partially explains part of the numbers you're finding in your Google search results. Although, like, because one of the things that I was really trying to tell him to do is to stop watching YouTube videos and to actually look up statistical evidence and numbers that are unbiased and, like, not politicized or anything like that, to, like, do some critical thinking skills, like put those critical thinking things to work, right? Like, look at these numbers. Anyways, so he's talking about Google search results, although not entirely. That is at least one reason, but there are many more out there if you look for them. And then he posted another rabbit hole YouTube video of some old white dude talking about how sexism doesn't exist. And anyways, and then I just said, hold up, full stop. Women do not tend to prefer lower paying careers. You seriously believe that sex is garbage assumption? And then we went on into the conversation. You just call that out. But, and then I mean, this is where I just said I also see, again, you rely on YouTube opinion pieces to be your factual guide rather than actual public information and numerical statistics published without bias. So, since we cannot agree on where trusted factual statistics come from, this is where our conversation will likely end. I said we'll end.
You guys stopped intersecting.
Well, no. YouTube conspiracies serving one's own ideals and biases are not a reliable source of factual information. And then he wanted to say, what does this color of skin or gender have to do with anything? Am I supposed to think now that the color of a person's skin or their gender somehow discredits them? This is where white people start to say, like, you're racist. This is where he starts to do, what is that called? Gaslighting, I think it's called. What does the color of his skin or gender have to do with anything? Am I supposed to think now that the color of a person's skin or their gender somehow discredits them? That comes across as rather racist and sexist to me. Well, because I mentioned that it's like an old white man who's like being sexist in the YouTube video that he posted. So he's, what does the color of his skin or gender have to do with anything? Am I supposed to think now that the color of a person's skin or gender somehow discredits them? That comes across as rather racist and sexist to me and solidifies my position that identity politics of progressive leftists. He's already like thinks I'm a progressive leftist, which is hilarious because I think somewhere I'm actually center left. I'm a little bit, I'm further center than I thought I was.
But not in this feed. He thinks you're attacking him from the left.
The only thing he has on me about that is because I said Kamala's not a communist.
Well, that's not the only thing. You have not cited. You have not complimented anything he said.
I don't have to compliment a fucking person.
I'm just.
Motherfucker.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm talking about the fact that
compliment this asshole on a damn thing. He hasn't said anything to be complimented on.
I'm not. I guess that's not the right words.
That comes across as rather racist and sexist to me and solidifies my position of this bullshit. Progressive leftists are cancer, and I suggest you go back and revisit the exact topic at hand here before trying that again. That dude is more qualified than either of us to speak on these topics. I suggest you look his credentials up. Acknowledging it. Yeah, he's...
So were you the most proactive person in this feed trying to get at the dude about...
No. Okay. His other friend... There's another woman, white woman, who also...
Is there anybody of color that you know of involved in the feed regarding this gentleman?
Nope. Okay. Which I imagine he doesn't have anybody around him of color.
So what motivated you to go after this guy in this feed? Besides the fact that it's pretty blatant that he's...
Just some crap that he said on our friend's page, and I went and looked at his, and I was like, whoa, and that popped up, and I was like, let me just see it.
Did you feel like he was being racist?
I was wasting time, and I went down the rabbit hole with this person. I was wasting time, admittedly. Is that whole corrupt, oppressive systems rooted in racial and other kinds of discrimination?
Well, let's not dwell on your phone too
Yeah, you're going to have to cut this
longer.
I wasn't referring to a system. I was referring to a rather racist and sexist comment that you, the individual, made. He's saying that I was racist and sexist when I called the old white man, like I was like, that's bullshit. And I was like, everything that he had to say was bullshit and totally untrue.
Which man did you call?
One of the YouTube conversational pieces. Like his opinion piece. He's like being interviewed by a white lady.
Who else responded to that part of his message? Because that's crazy to me.
What? That he would call me racist or sexist, especially sexist.
Yeah,
I mean, go ahead and call me racist, whatever. you know, like.
Well, he obviously
we
has
can
a
talk
distinct
about
opinion about women.
Reverse
being,
sexism doesn't. Yeah, women
like,
can be sexist against men.
No, I'm saying he has a distinct opinion that women are less than on purpose.
Yes, he does. A lot
So
of these people do. So most of these white people, well, I don't even know if it's just white people, but most of these people who are holding this, like, far right, far whatever, like, they have, yeah.
Can I ask you a cultural question?
Mm.
Do you think that if he said these kind of things in front of his mother, just in theory, we don't know his mom, but do you think that he talks like this in front of his family members?
That's a good question. I mean, his father is probably like this, is my guess.
I can feel that.
I think his father is probably like this, and his mother is probably just, you know.
Gosh, you know what would be sad is if his mom was one of those women who was the stay-at-home mom. Which is, we call it stay-at-home mom now, but it wasn't stay-at-home mom back then. It was a homemaker. No, it was jacked up. They called them homemakers, and then it turns to stay-at-home mom, which is fine, but, like, gosh, man, that's crazy to be where he's at. So
he said that he does not. I don't believe in reverse racism. There is only one racism. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular racial or ethnic group.
He Googled it.
Mm-hmm. Of which your comment clearly qualifies having been antagonistic and directed towards whites. Me. I was antagonistic.
So you just
and directed towards. I was antagonistic and directed towards old white men in charge.
Wait a second.
Mm-hmm. Just because it's directed toward a group of people who have more privileges doesn't justify it.
So if I was to say the sentence or word phrasing, superior inferiority, is that what you were doing?
Yep. You mean like I was like old white men suck?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't say it that blatantly, but I was like old white men, like they don't get to.
Yeah, so he's like, you don't get to say that we are racist. That's crazy. So
Isn't that crazy how he twists that? That's what they're doing. They're twisting it around.
We are powerful.
I don't even think he's saying that. But
he kind of did it in every single way.
Yeah. But he did also say, he said, just because, find whatever reason you need to ignore reason if you must. I will continue to pursue truth. He thinks he's pursuing truth. He said, okay, I'll think about what it's like outside of the United States. So I also encouraged him to look outside of the United States.
Kind of like I was trying to do earlier.
For his perspectives, like what do people in other countries think of us, or even just reputable people in other countries. Look at their, news sources, journalists, or like statistics on us. He said, okay, I'll think about what it's like outside of the United States the moment I close my notebook and look out the fucking window. And again, later this evening when I walk down the street and speak with people who are far less privileged than Black Americans. Yeah, they're crazy, man, these people. I said, interesting. I said, what makes you believe that all Black Americans have the same amount or level of privilege as each other? And what makes you think that their monolithic level of privilege assumed by you is more than the people who you will speak with while walking down the street? There's the racism you just identified perfectly by definition, and that racism is applied to varying degrees to people who are of any group not belonging to white people.
So,
oops, I said his full name. We're going to have to cut that out now. Hey, I don't know.
So, I feel like I just experienced 45 minutes of white...
bullshit.
Oh, what is it called?
Bullshit. White bullshit.
You guys spend a lot of time talking at each other in a way that I do not understand. It is a foreign language. That's what I was going to say. And I'm
exposing... Well, one of the things that I'm aiming to do on here is... I want to carry this conversation out, right? Because obviously he has reasonable people in his life who... it's blinking again. Reasonable people in his life.
Yeah, we took too long.